Well, hello, welcome back to Tale 3 Cabins. I hope everybody had a great 4th of July. We had a pretty busy, hectic week here. We did the normal 4th of July things. We had a couple large barbecues, fireworks, of course, and then we had some family come into town. We were pretty busy with them all week. Checked out a ball game down in Cleveland, checked out a Cleveland Guardians game. Unfortunately, they did not win, but they are doing pretty good this year. But it was a good night to get out. The kids really enjoyed seeing the ball game, and I had not been there for quite some time, and I had a good time also. But the title of this video is Taking a Break from All Your Worries. And basically, what does that mean? I got a few things going on here that I need to take care of, and we're going to stop making a weekly video for a little while. And let me explain exactly what's happening. Most of you know I retired from the fire department about 4 years ago now. It's going to be 4 years come August. And just a brief history, I worked there for 33 years. I had a great career. I got promoted in 1998. When I got promoted, I had a thing called an AOR, which is an area of responsibility. And my area of responsibility was the radio system. The radio system definitely was changing in technology. I was using a laptop to program all our radios. We were going from a basically low frequency operation to a higher frequency, which involved trunking multiple channels, a lot to learn. I was sent for special training, and when I had the laptop, I started getting into computers a little bit more. Before they gave me that laptop, I really didn't know anything about computers, and then when I got the laptop for the radio system, I started taking computer classes and self-teaching a lot of different subjects like Excel and the Microsoft Office packages. And I was always going to other people asking them questions about the computer, and before you knew it, they were turning around there coming and asking me questions. So our fire department has 5 stations, and at the headquarters back in 2003, I discovered a lot of old photographs that they used to use to make an annual report. And I thought it was pretty cool, and then I found a bunch of slides. I found some 16mm film. And I started transferring all that stuff to digital. And that's kind of early in its day for 2003 to be doing this. I started collecting all this stuff, and I started thinking to myself that there has to be a ton of stuff out there that retired firefighters have, even citizens, and just stuff tucked away that I don't know about. And I decided that I was going to create a history of our fire department. It was 2003, and our 80-year anniversary was coming up in 2004. So I immediately started a campaign that I wanted to bring in as many photos and get as much of our history as possible. So I created a short 4-minute video of some of the photos that I had already transferred over, and it was kind of like a promotional to try to get other people to send in their media. We put it out on all the computers in the stations. We also put it on our webpage and just advertise it wherever we could that we were looking for pictures, even in the local Sun newspaper at the time. And over a span of several months, and I would do this mostly in the evenings at the fire station, I took a little bit of it at home, but I tried to just after dinner when things were winding down, transfer a couple hundred photos here and there in the evening. And by the time it was all said and done, I had about 9,000 photos that I scanned. So I would have retired firefighters bringing in photos. I would have people from the public bringing in photos. And a lot of times I'd just try to scan it for them really quick and then give it right back to them if there weren't a lot of them. Of course, if there were a lot of them, I would like to try to do a turnaround time within a week or so. Over a period of several months, I collected about 9,000 photos. I collected some video. I collected 16mm film, 8mm film, put it all onto digital. Then I started cataloging it, and I started breaking it down into decades. Basically, over a period of time, I created a history of our fire department. I went back through all our old record books and log books. I tried to include when chief changed hands, when we got advanced technology, when new stations were built, just a little bit of history. So this thing was about 2 hours long. It's about 15 chapters. Each chapter kind of alternated between a decade and then the stage of a firefighter's career. So we started out in the 1920s, and then the next chapter was about taking the tests to get on the fire department. Then we moved up another decade, and then we talked about when you get sworn in and your training.
State your name.
I state your name.
And then we move up another decade, and then you talk about the big fires or ambulance run. We came up with a script for each chapter. We got firefighters to narrate it.
Raymond Zigmeyer, at 101 years, is the oldest living Parma fireman. He still remembers his old firefighting days. He states, "It was just bare bones firefighting. not all that fancy stuff they have today.
We also had some of the firefighters' wives narrating certain portions of it because we did at one time have a ladies' auxiliary. This all together was a 2-hour movie, and it turned out pretty well that we decided to show it at a large auditorium in our local municipality, which was at a high school. It had a debut in August of 2004, and that was our 80th anniversary. And then there was an encore performance later on in the fall that was opened up to the public. I burned several hundred DVDs that we gave out to the public, to the firefighters, to the Historical Society. The movie was well received and has become a standard requirement for any new hiree on the department. That's one of the things they want them to view when they first start their training in the fire department. So now if we fast forward 20 years and I retire, and it's now 2024, well, you can imagine 20 plus 80 is 100. So our department is celebrating their 100th anniversary, 100th birthday. I was contacted by a few members of the fire department that if we could show that movie again, celebrating the 100th anniversary of the fire department. So I was not only contacted again about showing this movie again as an encore performance 20 years later, but also in the celebration of the 100th anniversary of our fire department. They asked if we could tack on the last 2 decades. So tack on the last 20 years what happened, and there were a lot of things that happened in the last 20 years. They've gathered a bunch of photos again, and they've given them to me, and right now I'm going through the sorting process. If I'm going to do this thing any justice, I have to stop doing something, and this is going to be very time consuming, it's going to be tedious, and right now I have a deadline of really about a month. What I'm going to do is kind of shut down a lot of things that's happening here. I'll still be doing a few projects around the house, but I just cannot do all that editing for the channel videos and then try to turn around and do editing for the next 2 decades. So we're going to add 4 more chapters onto this movie. It's probably going to alternate between the last 2 decades, and then I think we're going to highlight the Firefighters Union, and we're going to highlight AORs, so areas of responsibility. Tack that on to this movie. So we're talking probably about another 30 minutes of footage. Like as I said, I don't have the time to do both, so I'm going to be shutting down A Tale of Three Cabins just for about most likely 6 weeks. This movie is supposed to premiere on August 17th. So shortly after that, I will start up again and I'll start pumping out videos. But I really need the time, if I want to do this right, to just pause everything and do some justice to this movie. So I hope you understand what's going on here. And when I come back in August, that'll actually be a perfect time because we'll start working back down to Southern Ohio again. I haven't done any work on the blinds yet. It's a little too warm in July down there to do a lot of work anyways. So middle of August will be a good time to pick up on a lot of projects down there. And of course, whatever I need to do up here in Southern Ohio. Tennessee, we're probably not going to go back there till sometime in November. And then we'll just start up our regular weekly videos. But until then, I appreciate everybody watching, as always. I hope you will continue to subscribe and click on that little bell when you want to know when a new video is coming out. And it's going to be a little while before the next new one comes out. And I hope you continue to keep an eye on us. So take care, everybody. This film is dedicated to all department firefighters, those of the past, whose shoulders we stand on today, those of the present, and those of the future who will one day walk in our shadows. Through all the many changes in the last 80 years, there's one thing that remains a constant, and that's that we're here to help.